and welcome everybody to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Spoilercast. I'm Mitch, as you can follow me on Twitter, Mitch692. And a little bit different this week. Sean is unable to make it, but I managed, thankfully, get someone else on board. You might recognize him, you've had him on before, and that is Jared from the Nerd and Academy podcast.
Hello, everybody. Very happy to be back on CBC. I love coming around, love hanging out with you guys. So, hell yeah.
Falcon always a fun time. And again, thank you so much. I know it was really short notice. Just like, hey, can you do tomorrow? I'm kind of. Ugh.
I love being like the pinch hitter guest. Like so it's happened for the first time with you guys. It's happened a couple times with Bombad Cast. And with Girls with Sabers, who have all just like 30 minutes before stream starts, hey, what are you doing?
I haven't hit 30 minutes yet, but
yeah, you gave me like a day and a half, which is like, again, and that's the fun part, is that I'm always going to say yes because I love doing this.
So I'll keep that in mind. And I can hear myself again. Skype is going to annoy me.
I apologize.
I'll see how this goes, because it's going to be on enough. If you can hear me twice, you can hear me twice. You might actually catch what I say from time to time. So, yeah, to get straight into this, initial first impression of episode 6 and then the whole thing, the whole series as a whole.
Yeah, I was also going to ask if we're doing just the finale or like the whole.
It's the whole thing. I was going to split into two, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be repeating myself. I'm not doing
that. Thoughts on the finale? I was kind of 50-50 on the finale. I'm liking it more than I dislike it now after a second watch. There were some character choices that I wasn't super thrilled with. From the moment we meet Sharon in Madripoor, the power broker twist was miles away and you could see it.
Yeah, I agree.
I really didn't want that to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I think I listened to I want to say episode 5. It might have been 5 or 4. And you were going, I do not want Sharon to be the power broker. And I'm just like, oh, he's going to be upset. He's not going to like where it's going because it's like, it's telegraphing. It's not making it hard to guess.
Yeah, I knew it was I knew it was coming. And like, we even like tried to work the magic of Travis's predictions never being right. And it still wasn't good enough. But I didn't like that Sharon was the power broker. I didn't like that they killed off Carly Morgenthau. She seemed, and I don't know. There was something about killing her off that just felt.
It was a weird choice. I'll give you that. It's a very weird choice.
The show does so much to like prove that killing her is the wrong thing to do, and that like the Flag Smashers are here for a reason. Like, we arrived here for a reason. This is not accidental. Their movement is based on some legitimate actual concerns, and she just gets shot. She just gets double tapped, and it's, I don't know. I just really didn't like the decision to kill her off. I think they could have kept her around. I get for like the point of the story that like Sharon needs to cover her tracks and that Carly would have squealed on the identity of the power broker. And like, I understand it in terms of the greater narrative moving forward. But I just really, I didn't like that choice to kill her off. I think that keeping her around to come to understand her decisions and understanding that, you know, a bloody revolution and change don't have to be mutually exclusive, and like trying to work through those feelings of wanting to change everything, and that sometimes that can come with a violent motive, and talking about, you know, people who disguised their own sinister wants as like legitimate social change, but they never really leaned into the idea that Carly was talking out of both sides of her mouth until the last episode, where you get that, like, well, Lamar's life didn't matter, and she's screaming at Sam to fight her back.
Yeah, they took a turn with her a little bit.
And if they had like introduced that from the beginning, that she was maybe a grifter and she was doing this for power, and she didn't believe in the Flag Smasher ideology, and then we get that fight me, his life didn't matter, and like we see her like doubling down on the things that in theory should be antithetical to the movement, I would be okay. Like, she's not actually fighting for social change. And
well, I think I agree with you to an extent. Like, they definitely turned her character in a direction that I'm not sure if this is going to be me talking completely out my ass or if this was intentional. But it feels like, because obviously she's the opposite side to Walker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's the opposite to him, and then Sam somehow in the middle. He's got to represent both sides. Walker had to turn with the serum, and he's constant. Like they've shown a couple of times since the whole death, like Lamar death and everything, that he's struggling to keep it together. Whereas I think the whole point of Kylie's turn was that she succumbed to the effects of that thing, because it's not the legitimate one, is it? It's not the same one as Steve took. It's a modified, slightly different version of that original super soldier serum. So it's clearly got some mental effects on people, and whether it was a case of she just kind of gave in at the end of everything because the pressure was too much, and she got to the point where there was that much pressure, whereas John got his really quickly, she got hers at the end. I'm not too sure, but I think that's the way I'm probably going to choose to look at it, just to make it feel a bit better.
That's a very clever interpretation, and I didn't take into consideration the fact that the super soldier serum that we're dealing with here is clearly, whether it be a psychological effect where it's like, too much power for one person to have, or it's like a chemical effect that it is having on somebody's brain.
Because it seems to be where they make a point of saying, this thing's not going to make you any bigger. You're going to look the same as you are. You're just going to have the strength. It's almost like taking that away, and instead of losing that part of yourself to be like actually change, it's going to fight to change your mind and your personality. That's the impression I got from it. It's like you're not giving up one thing to gain another. You kind of are, but it's in the opposite way around.
No, I see what you mean, and you just sold me. You sold me with that interpretation. Excellent. I like that.
It might not hold water. I might be just completely pulled out my ass, but that's how I choose. I'm just
praying that Sharon is a Skrull, and that's where the power broker stuff comes in.
That is where I've been since episode 4, and me and Sean have talked about it a little bit. It's just like, I don't think they're going to reveal it in this. They clearly didn't. If she's a Skrull, and I think if she is and she's going to be in Secret Invasion, it's better to keep that hidden. Because she's a character that we know. We haven't obviously seen her a lot. We've only seen her in, Winter Soldier, one scene in Civil War, and then a couple of scenes in this. So we don't really know who she is, but she's a big enough presence for us to be like, oh, crap, it's a Skrull. And she's a bad Skrull at that. So I think that's definitely the direction that they're heading in. And if they're not, then I'm not entirely sure where they're going with it. Like, I get she's a spy, and spies are shady, and if she's a spy without a nation, then she's going to be extra shady. But she's clearly working for someone else. Like, she's not the top of her hierarchy. She's clearly at least a rung down.
A rung down, or she has a whole lot of liaisons who are doing a lot of work for her. Like, I think it's one of the two. Like, I think she might be if she is a part of some criminal underworld, and her being some type of crime lord and being a Skrull can both be true at the same time.
True. Very true. Very, very true.
I think that if that's the case, I would be inclined to say that she's probably head honcho, but if not, I think you're right that maybe you're rung down.
And say they wanted you to believe she was the top, like, oh, the power broker, this power broker, that. It's just like, yeah, but she's talking to someone else. There's no way Sharon Carter, of all people, is the head of something.
We'll have to see. I'm not sure where that's going, and that's one of those like, I don't have a pulse on it, so part of me doesn't like it because I'm just already like, I don't like that you're the power broker, period. And this is just
it's a weird choice. It was a weird choice.
Sold on.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird choice, but I think the scroll thing makes the most sense for it. Because why would Sharon run to Madripoor? How would she get to Madripoor? The scroll could easily get over there and take over that. It's kind of the perfect place to hide out as someone else. And also, it explained why, you know, she gets into the States with that face-changing technology, but doesn't want to go to the hospital. So you could have just put that on and you're fine. Whereas if she's a Skrull, she hasn't got human biology.
Yeah, that was
something goes wrong.
That was something I was going to bring up here, and I was looking forward to talking about on Nerd Academy. That I was like, on the second watch, I'm like, why don't you want to go to an ER?
It's really, it's shady. It's shady.
It's like that pardon's right there in front of you, man. Like there's no way she isn't smart enough to recognize that the pardon is like 2 feet away. Like,
yeah, especially because like, what are they gonna do? Like, if they're gonna give you the pardon anyway, why would they be mad that you helped out? It kind of doesn't add up to me completely. But
not only that, like, you got shot by Carly Morgenthau trying to stop her from like assassinating the GRC. Like, that's a heroic thing that you did. It's not like you got into like a shootout with like a rival crime organization. It's all of it's so fishy. And on a second watch, I was like, you're green. You're green. I can smell it. You're green.
Oh, Skrullen Carter, but not that Skrullen really sounds right. I'm going to retract that one. I'll just call it Skrull Carter from now on. Then that begs the question: where's the real Sharon?
Yeah, I'm very interested in like what the Skrull discourse is going to look like over the next couple years leading up to Secret Invasion.
I say they're filming it soon, aren't they? Right?
I believe so. I believe it films
with the casting, they got to be starting soon for. I imagine next year, probably their big summer. So, but we'll see about that one. But right, so series as a whole,
I really liked it. I think that trying to compare this to WandaVision is like trying to compare apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's very much chalk and cheese, isn't it? You can't really. They're two different shows entirely.
Yeah,
they have similar issues, which I don't think is self-inflicting the slightest. I think the whole pandemic thing, especially with Falcon, you can really tell it took a hit with the whole lockdown and shutdown of productions and everything like that. So
the rumors that they had to like cut a subplot and the
which
way
I think is really evident in that last episode.
Yeah, it feels like that gas is not just like a crowd control thing. It feels like that was originally supposed to be some type of like viral agent.
Yeah. Because then you just throw the smoke out and that's it. It's like, okay. You just it happened and it's gone. But speaking of chemicals and stuff, did you notice that Sharon just melts a dude?
Yeah,
it's really weird. It's just like, okay, you just disintegrated that guy's face, but okay, Sharon.
Yeah, I love like, well, I took care of my guy. How'd you do that? Oh, mercury vapor and a couple other chemicals, and it's like, that doesn't sound legal. That does not sound like that weapon is allowed to exist.
Yeah, it's horrible scene. Horrible. But yeah, I definitely agree. You can't compare this to WandaVision. As much as I'd like to, and I'd like to say WandaVision came out on top, which I think it kind of did for me anyway. But
yeah, I think like, personal enjoyment is one thing. I think trying to like, again, when trying to rank this stuff, it's in that same way that I don't think you can really like rank, at least for me, Endgame with like the rest of the MCU movies, where it's like it exists like past the media of a movie. Like it exists in its own weird realm. I think WandaVision is so weird and meta and plays with all of these different ideas and like breaks the format of a traditional TV show that none of the other shows in the MCU are going to be able to do, because they don't have the latitude that a gimmick of a character like Wanda has.
I think the only one that could get close is Moon Knight.
Moon Knight could get weird if it wanted to, for sure, and do like weird kind of stuff. But other than, you know, and I just didn't say that up top just because I don't like, I feel like people trying to compare them already are on the wrong path. But I really liked the show. I enjoyed the social commentary that it tried. There were some moments where it doesn't succeed quite as well as it would like to. However, the visual metaphor with Walker killing the Flag Smasher was haunting. It was that was just the visual storytelling that happens at that moment is incredible. Seeing Steve become Cap, Sam become Cap, seeing Sam become Captain America. Try that one more time. Was just amazing. I love watching his journey. I loved watching him accept the role and the title. I'm a sucker for seeing like the super screen accurate costumes, and my jaw dropped actually seeing it in motion in this episode. Because I think we've all seen the toy leaks.
Yeah. I saw one try to avoid it from that point out, and then just I'll be honest, I knew they were doing that suit. I didn't realize how close it was going to be. I told it was going to be close, but never like they just literally just straight lifted the damn thing off the page. It's like, oh, okay, you went close. Like,
yeah, like, and it's Sam Wilson's Captain America outfit is probably one of my favorite superhero costumes of all time. It's just so striking and just visually appealing. So I was very excited to see what they do with it in the MCU, and seeing it just completely brought to life.
It does look great. I said this to Army in the commentary. It looks, I said it on Twitter as well, actually. It looks almost too good for live action. That's something, I love the hell out of it. And that first shot you see of him is fantastic. But there's something not, it's not that it's not quite right. Something slightly off. And I don't know if it's just they've changed how they approach their suit design. It doesn't look like anything else you've had in the MCU. Like, you look at Wonder Suit in the WandaVision, it looks like it fits in with everything else. Like, even Walker's like US agent suit, it looks like it fits in with everything else. It shares a couple of like design aesthetics and all that. Sam Wilson's cap suit doesn't. And I find that it's not odd, and it's not even a bad thing. It's just there's something slightly different about it, and I can't put my finger on it. What exactly they've changed, and I just don't know. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I just love the hell out of it. But I can't help but think there's just something I can't figure out about it.
I know what you mean by that. I totally see what you mean. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, even though the MCU's never shied away from being colorful,
it's really bright. Like, I think that might be it. The white is really white.
It's how vibrant it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's never like the MCU's never shied away from colorful, but it's never been like bright with its colors in the superhero outfits. Like, you know, Cap was normally in like a deeper navy or a darker blue, you know.
And the white was always just kind of off-white. It was never really just flat white.
Yeah. Where this is
might be actually
white and like a scarlet red and like a royal blue.
I think you might have nailed it there, actually. It might just be the colors on it. Because it is bright. It is crazy how, especially the white, it's crazy how white that white actually is.
And it pops so well.
It does. I just can't wait to see it in a daytime shot. Because this whole entire thing, even though it was filmed in the day, because we've seen, at least I'm pretty certain it was filmed in the day, because we saw the pictures of Walker and Bucky with those two vans at the end. The armored truck vans, and I'm pretty certain that was in the day, not at night. So it'd be interesting to see how bright this thing is exactly.
Yeah, I also am looking for. I'm just looking forward to see more of it. Like
and we're getting more of it.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god,
I cannot believe they dropped that. How they kept that quiet as well, I don't know.
They just. I love Marvel so much. I love the way they handle this stuff so much.
It's like, okay, you enjoyed that, you'll get a movie of it. Because of course we're gonna have Sam Cap as a movie. Why wouldn't we?
That just makes me so happy, and it proves how much Marvel and Disney are trusting the viewers to take Disney Plus into consideration.
Yeah, well, you could say it's trusting. At the same time, they just don't care if people are going to watch it. It's like, you're going to watch the movies regardless anyway.
Yeah, and again, it's the argument I've been making for years, and then Solo: A Star Wars Story proved me even more right. And I think I even said this the last time I was on the main show here, that when people talk about, oh, you have to consider the average viewer, the average audience, that type of person, that doesn't matter. There's this hardcore casual base for the MCU where it's like people who have never picked up a comic book, but like will scream Wakanda forever with their arms crossed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hardcore into these movies, but like have never read a single comic book, but also have the resources of Googling stuff and, YouTube channels that exist like y'all's and mine. We're like, there's this massive information base for the casual to just be like, oh, I didn't understand this thing in the movie. And then here's like 18 videos and articles that are like blank in blank explained. That scene in this explained that secret cameo. Yeah. Like, even if they don't watch the stuff on Disney Plus, somebody's going to do a recap for them. Like someone's going to fill the gaps for them.
Also, the movies are going to give them if anything ties in like Multiverse of Madness and the Captain America 4, it's going to give you a little brief thing at the start. It's going to go like this character is here now. Like there's no way Doctor Strange just starts off right off the bat and doesn't even show Wanda in the house. If that movie doesn't start with Wanda in that book, I'm going to be shocked. Personally. But
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Because it just feels too important to that thing. Like, why would she be there if she's not going to be a massive thing? So, like, just start with the book, set everything up, and then go on from there. Like, if they care that much, they'll see about it.
And I'm so intrigued as to where they go in a fourth Cap movie with what we have here. Like,
yeah, because where do you go?
I don't know. I feel like Joaquin Torres might be getting the super suit.
Oh, he's 100% getting a suit. 100. He's already got it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Keep the wings. Yeah. Cheers, Sam. Yeah. Thank you for saving him from those horrible bird eyes.
Yeah. Travis and I lucked out because one of the shows we do for our Patreon is like an older comic book recap thing. And to like hearken in Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Heroic History 101, we did the first volume of the Nick Spencer, Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Great run.
Phenomenal. And we did the first volume of it, and I remember like we covered like the Joaquin Torres stuff, and then like a week later the first episode comes out, and like he's Torres, and I'm like, no way, whoa, no, we did not do that by accident. There's no way we pulled that one off.
I was shocked he was in here, and I think he was supposed to have a little bit more, but pandemic again, kind of crapping on what we were supposed to get, but yeah, I assume he'll be in there. You need a Falcon, you need a Captain America, you need the three of them.
Yeah, I love the idea of having a Falcon, having a Captain America, a Falcon, and a Winter Soldier, all on the same team, and two of them can fly, and then Bucky's just sprinting.
Now with Bucky, do we keep him as the Winter Soldier or do we change him up slightly? Is that the way they go? Is he now just keeping that name and owning it himself? Now that he's actually had some character development for the first time in 12 years?
I was surprised that they do that fun thing at the end with the title card.
Yeah, were you expecting White Wolf to come up?
I was really like once it started to say like once I saw like the CAP of Captain, I was like, oh, like it's gonna end with Captain America and the White Wolf, and it's still Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and I was like, I wish within the show we had Bucky acknowledge the idea that he's taking that name back.
Yeah, well, I think that's, at least for me, the impression I got, the whole therapy was him taking that back. Like that was the whole point of that arc. And his apology to I can't remember the guy's name at the end, who Sonny killed. But him going like, he was killed by the Winter Soldier. I didn't have a choice. Like, I don't think he's ever going to get rid of that name.
No, he can't get rid of it. Like it's just a part of the life that he lived. But I would either like the idea of him like officially retiring it, embracing being addressed as the White Wolf as like a code name or hero name or whatever. But I don't know. It's the fact that part of his like making amends is I am no longer the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that would have liked to have seen him kind of like go, I am no longer Hydra's Winter Soldier. I am I am the and like kind of based off of the Washington quote that name comes from. With like, the Winter Soldier versus the Fairweather Soldier, and the idea that he's like, no, like I'm with you to the end of the line, like that's like the whole sentiment behind being a quote unquote Winter Soldier with that Washington quote in mind. I really, really, really would like to see the idea that he's like, I am a Winter Soldier in the sense of I am here for the long haul.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I think one way that they could really do that well is, since he's not going to be Cap, let's not let that Alex Ross suit go to waste. He's already wearing black and blue. Just slightly change what he's wearing and give him a Cap suit. Obviously, still call him the Winter Soldier, but just give him that Captain America suit so he can kind of start to reclaim that name and be his own guy going forward. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think there's also something to be said for like not wanting to pull focus from Sam being Cap. And even though Bucky wouldn't be using the moniker of Captain America,
you can make some changes to the suit and maybe get rid of the stripes and just give the appearance of that, like the blue coming down, and do it that way.
I like that. I like that idea. I like that a lot.
And just give him the silver arm back. I've had enough of the black and gold. It's not Bucky. I've never liked it. It's not Bucky in the slightest. Especially if it's vibranium. Why is it black? Like, come on, make it silver.
That was one of my favorite moments. One of my favorite and one of the most like depressing, if you think about it for too long, moments in the show.
Oh, what with AO taking his arm off like an absolute fiend.
Oh my god! Well, I just and I thought the same thing that was like all over those memes that came after it, where it was like they never trusted him. They never 100% were sold on the idea that the Winter Soldier was gone.
That was a really interesting argument. Because I think the people that didn't care that she did it kind of missed the point for Bucky. It's like people aren't complaining that she did it. It's the implications of what happened with Bucky. Like, this whole arc in this show is about moving past and thinking he can be trusted by people. When one of the people that he thought he could trust just dismantled half his arm or the entire arm. And it's just like, you could see it on his face at the time. He's just like, excuse me? Like, that shouldn't be a thing you should be able to do. And I get that people might have missed, myself included, I completely forgot until someone brought it up. T'Challa does a similar thing in Civil War. He doesn't take the arm off, but he does a similar movement on that arm that kind of jams it in place. It's a very like blink and you miss it moment, but he does do that. But it was a very interesting moment, and I think people might have taken each side a bit too far because a lot of people got overly aggravated about it. But I definitely fell on the side of she was wrong to do it. I get why she did it, and I get why you take the arm off in that moment. But I think for someone like Bucky, if you like, they clearly had a relationship in Wakanda. You kind of maybe not do that. Like, just find a different way.
Well, and that's the thing is that, like, yeah, it makes sense that you deactivated his arm so that you wouldn't have to fight him. It's the implication that, like, why did you build a failsafe into my arm?
See, I said that, and someone went, "It's not a failsafe. They just know how to use the arm." Like, and if you look at prosthetic limbs, they always have to come off because you have to clean everything.
And that could very much be the case that, like, there is, like, you know, like most like pieces of technology like have that, like, if you push the right buttons in the right order, you get to like a thing that you should only be able to do if you're like the person who builds or maintains these things. And that could be it. But the look of shock on Bucky's face, it does not feel like it was like a, this is how you normally turn the arm off. He even says,
true. That's true.
Sam even asked, did you know that they could do that? And he said no while he like reloads his arm.
I also think it's cheeky as well because it's not like he asked for the arm. It's not like he wanted anything. You know, he was quite happy just walking around with the one arm and helping kids out and everything. Like, they're the ones that wanted him to come back into the fight and gave him, admittedly, the wrong arm in Infinity War, which I would never not find funny. But it's just like, hey, here, have this weapon we made for you. And then it's like, oh, we're just going to take it away whenever we don't like what you're doing. We're not going to hear you out or anything. We're just going to take it away. It's just like, oh, okay, it's a bit dickish, but fine. Like, I get the whole thing with Zemo, and yes, he killed T'Chaka, but part of me is like, well, T'Challa's arc in Civil War and him being the king of Wakanda after that, and being that person afterwards, it kind of goes against that in a little bit. That's just me. Like, you know, if the king's kind of like, you know, I'm done seeking revenge. Like, yes, obviously he's gonna want to bring him in, but a part of me feels like they would have listened to Bucky a bit more. And it's like, yes, they sorted Bucky out, but that wasn't Bucky asking to be sorted out. That was Steve asking them to sort Bucky out. Like, it was a favor to Steve, not to Bucky.
That's true. And I think the thing with Zemo that, like, kind of goes in an interesting direction for me with the Wakanda stuff is the way that, like, yeah, I don't see T'Challa being like, bring him in at any cost, put him down if you have to. Like, I feel like it's the Dora Milaje that it's for them. That there's like a level of shame in the fact that he got away.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's a them thing because he doesn't get brought back to Wakanda. They throw him in the raft.
Which was an interesting choice.
So I like the idea that it's less about, oh, we need to bring him in because King T'Challa made the decree that like Zemo needs to be brought back down at any cost. It's no, he needs, you know, from the Suicide Squad movie, you know, throw him in a hole and throw away the hole type thing. And I like the idea that he just ends up in the raft because this was never a Wakanda thing. This was the Dora Milaje took one on the chin when T'Chaka got killed, and they felt some kind of way about it.
That's fair. No, that makes a lot of sense. Make it more personal for them. Even though I think even just the Dora Milaje being there and just the scene in Wakanda, it's like, I think it's an open secret at this point that you were supposed to have T'Challa in this thing.
I don't know. I feel like
I think with everything that's clearly been cut out of the episode 6, I feel like you were really supposed to have T'Challa in this in episode 5. And they just never got around to like actually filming that moment.
See, I think it's interesting because I never got the real vibe from episode 6 that that's one that like paid the price for the cuts. I never got the feeling that there's a lot that got cut out of 6. I think 1 and 2. And 3,
really?
I think the first 3 episodes feel like where most of the cuts happen. I didn't get a like, oh, there's stuff that got cut out here in 6.
What gave you the impression for the first Like first half then.
A lot of it had to do with that like weird like pandemic subplot that there's the rumors about. There's like the weird one-off mention of vaccines.
Oh yeah, there is, isn't there? Right, in that the trucks, isn't there?
Yeah. What's the? It was the Nagel was the scientist who recreated the serum.
Yeah, I can't remember his name exactly. I'm pretty certain that's right.
Well, the scene with Nagel, like, there's a lot of like cutting around where like he's saying words, but you can't see him saying words, and the audio's a little bit different.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I didn't notice that.
The scene where they're first hanging out with Sharon in Madripoor, they're not showing who's talking a lot of the time. There's a lot of stuff like that makes me feel like the first half that suffered the most from the pandemic shooting.
I say, me and Armin clocked that an obvious reshoot was when Sam and Bucky are talking to Carly on the balcony. They're in that like little, I guess it's like in a little apartment bit, and there's the hole in the middle of the building, and it just looked like there's literally only just 3 people there, but it looks like there's supposed to be more. And just the way it was all close-ups, it just looked really odd. Especially considering like all the other shots were like wide angles, and then you get these sudden like typical TV close-ups.
That's an interesting point. I didn't clock that one. I'm also bad at like trying to figure out like what's a reshoot and stuff like that. One of those like really obvious red herrings, like Ewan McGregor's wig in The Phantom Menace.
Oh,
horrendous. Stuff like that, or it's like, yes. Apparently he has a fake beard in Attack of the Clones as well, which I've never noticed the fake beard. But in some of Attack of the Clones, but that's not this show.
I don't watch the prequels enough to actually notice that.
Yeah. No, okay. Even though it's my favorite Star Wars movie, here's something that'll frustrate people. Watch The Last Jedi and pay insane attention to Adam Driver's facial hair. It's maddening because he goes from clean shaven to a little bit of stubble to mustache stubble.
I never noticed that either.
I noticed it the first time I saw the movie. Like, it's like the one, and it's like, it's so stupid and nitpicky that it's never worth bringing up. And like me being,
you're the only person I've ever heard mention that, and I'm gonna have to watch that movie again now. I'm just.
You put it on when we stop. I like just look for it. When you look for it, you see it. It's really, the mustache is really bad when Rey arrives on the Supremacy. Like, it's straight stash stubble, and I don't know how they got away with that. Like, I spend way too much time on the internet defending The Last Jedi, so I don't bring up this really weird continuity error with Kylo Ren's lip, right? So I know I'm in a safe place here at CBC to just point out that really strange continuity error. But
that's the sort of errors that I love, and I'm gonna have to watch this show again to actually see if there's any like that properly. Like, if I can spot the whole thing with the audio and not seeing who's talking, because I did not catch that whatsoever.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's why I feel like it's more towards the front half. I don't know, because like, I don't know what would have been cut from the last episode, and I feel like by the time, and it's unfortunate to try to categorize and theorize about this element, but like, I feel like by the time that they would have wrapped on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or at the very least had done any of the Wakanda stuff, it would have been after Chadwick had passed.
No, that would have been nearly a year that they were filming. That'd have been like 8 months.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Chadwick Boseman died on, I think it was my mom's
September,
birthday.
Wasn't it?
I think it was August.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, because I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was on my mom's birthday, was his passing. Let me make sure I'm not talking out of my ass here. Yeah, so he passed August 28, 2020.
Oh, that's why I think it's September, because it's late August, yeah.
So
And they started filming this in what, November of 2019? Or was it December? Because I know One Division and this started virtually at the same time. And it was before the Christmas, I'm certain of it. Because I think, from what I remember anyway, most of like the European looking places were in the like middle to back half of this thing. Obviously not episode 6 because that is purely in New York. And we know they had to stop because of the earthquake, and then they had to fly over to Europe to finish the rest of it off. So all the reshot scenes would have had to have been European-looking places. At least that's my assumption, anyway.
All right, I'm gonna give you ground on this one because, granted, it's from MovieWeb, but dated for September 30th, 2020, Falcon and the Winter Soldier wraps filming with Sharon Carter.
Mm-hmm. And that's after a long shutdown.
Yeah. So, okay, you might be right. I'll give that ground. I still feel like, I don't know. I like the idea that it would stay like a Dora Milaje thing.
I mean, it works with just them. You know, it's nice to have a different character, you know, just a small character that we've only had, like, what, once, twice? I can't remember if she was actually in Black Panther or not. I assume she was, because she was the first one we met in Civil War. But, no, it's nice to have someone that's had little appearances actually have some kind of a focus.
Yeah, I agree.
But there is some part of me where it's like, yeah, he was supposed to be in it. I don't know. I think if you go, like, if they're going after like your dad's killer, it's kind of like, I don't know. It feels odd that he wouldn't have been in there personally. But
no, I agree with you on that. I also accidentally opened Twitter, and the first thing I saw was I completely forgot about some of the early promotions of like the weird bit with like Zemo with a beard.
Yeah, when they revealed him, he had a beard and he put the mask on. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I always want to call him Valtteri Bottas, but I know he's not. But it's Daniel Bruhl, and that's just me being like, he looks like a Finnish F1 driver. But that's just how my brain works. Especially with the beard, it's uncanny, absolutely uncanny. But yeah, now speaking of Zemo, part of me is annoyed he only wore the mask once. And it barely even counts as once because it's like, I'm going to put this thing off, I'm going to shoot a dude, I'm going to shoot a pipe, I'm going to walk away, take it off, and then never see it again. It's just like, okay, but where was it? And like, for the most part, every other scene he was in, he didn't need to wear a mask, so why would he? But it would have been nice to have him do something else that warranted the mask, but maybe it was cut because they couldn't finish it. Who knows at this point? But
I like the idea, and I saw this floating around on the Bird app as well, that that even this might be the first time we've seen him wear that mask. This is not the first time he's worn that mask though. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. Then why, I will question him why he didn't wear it in Civil War. It's like, Zemo, come on now.
I think that you can kind of hand wave that away by saying that, like, you know, prancing around in like in an outfit doesn't work for what he's trying to do.
True, very true, very true.
Like, he's trying to be low profile.
It's a Marvel movie,
so I can forgive him not being costumed in Civil War, but the idea that like the second he gets broken out, he's back to an old costume, you know, like his like what he's wearing is more of a costume than any other outfit anybody has in the MCU. Like, there is like so little function to what he has on, and that is all style.
It's true. That is a very good point.
Like, he has that like double-breasted shirt and like the giant leather coat with a fur collar.
That's just like mainland Europeans. That's what you go to the continent and they're all doing that. No, this is fine.
Well, now I know where I need to be. Like aside from and whatnot, I know where I need to be. No, I aside from as in that's a given that that's why I want to be there. Let me rephrase that.
Disclaimer: you'll be really disappointed going to Europe. they don't dress like that, unfortunately. No. Maybe the like Eastern European. I don't know, but like at least France. Like no. You know, I really hope. Obviously, Zemo's coming back. There's no way you dump him in the raft and then not have him come back. Of all places, the raft, he's busting out of that thing. You know, he's got evil Alfred out here killing super soldiers.
Evil Alfred. You're right.
Which I love that so many people are like, who the hell is this old guy? It's like it's Butler. I know only saw him in one scene for about 20 seconds, but he was the only old white guy in the series. Like, come on now. And then you see Zemo afterwards. Put two and two together.
Yeah, it caught me off guard for a hot second, and I was like, oh, like I figured it out pretty quickly, but I was like, this is going to be a thing on the internet.
Yeah. And it was. I've seen people confused by it. I've been asked questions.
With Zemo kicking around still, and we have Valerie, Contessa, etc.
We say the full sentence name on this channel?
What?
We say her full name on this channel? I'm sorry.
So, Elaine...
Come on, I need the full.
That's the reason why I'm upset we got a Power Broker reveal, because I wanted it to stay vague. I didn't want to find out so that I could keep saying that Kramer was the Power Broker. I so badly wanted to keep that joke going on Nerd Academy, and I can't now.
No, that's unfortunate.
I so badly, just like, Jerry, I've recreated the super soldier serum. But I really do hope the speculation about the Thunderbolts comes to fruition. John Walker's a cop, and I would like to harvest his kneecaps, but
he's not a cop anymore. He threw that away.
No, he's a boogaloo boy now.
He threw away his hobbycraft shield.
Yeah.
I adore that so much.
I will say the little bit about him having the Medal of Honor fused where his eye would be, so that he could have a keep moving forward type thing, like somebody putting
I was gonna say, was that his or was that Lamar's?
I think it was his.
I say either way, it's a nice little no, I need to keep reminding myself.
Yeah.
Don't succumb to this serum. You have to keep fighting it.
I do like the idea that we're gonna get like a team of Thunderbolts here.
Now, do you think they're just doing Thunderbolts? Or do you think there's a Dark Avengers and a Thunderbolt set up here?
Listen, I want the Dark Avengers so much.
Because I'm convinced that La Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine, or Val or not Val, is clearly a Nick Fury for a Dark Avengers setup.
That's what I want. I want that to be the case.
Because this show, for better or for worse, wanted you to think of other Marvel movies involving Cap. Every time Walker's on screen after the whole, actually even before Lamar dies, there's the Civil War music going off, and they're like, remember Civil War? Remember this shot from Civil War? Remember when Steve did this to Tony in Civil War? Remember this in Winter Soldier? Remember that? And it's like, we then have this random person walking up to a Captain America, even though he wasn't at the time. And it's like, it's kind of like Nick Fury and Steve in New York. Kind of got that vibes. And it's like, you're starting Avengers with Cap. John Walker was a West Coast Avenger. So maybe we just take, the Dark Avengers are going to be on the West Coast and do it that way. And then Thaddeus Ross has Zemo. I'm begging they remember Patsy Walker's in there. It's just like, hey, you got Hellcat in here, you got Zemo, maybe Blonsky. You got half a team right there.
I like the idea that they bring back Blonsky. I know what I want isn't going to happen.
Which is?
Give me an actual Norman Osborn that exists in this universe in No Way Home.
I mean, maybe you get that.
And let him be Iron Patriot. Let it be a whole thing where Rhodey...
see, I don't know how I feel about the Iron Patriot, but I think the fact that Rhodey's used it twice, it's just like,
He only used it in Iron Man 3. Like, I think they used like a redux of it during the Endgame battle.
I was going to say the Endgame was clearly... I'm not sure if that was supposed to be Iron Patriot or not. I think that might have been a last-minute addition. Because you look at I'm certain that all the toys for it, bar the hot toys, actually black and white or black and silver.
I'm going to say it definitely looks blue.
I say it's blue in the movie, and the hot toy for it is blue. But there's a lot of art, and I'm pretty certain toys out there that are that exact suit, but in black and white, or the War Machine colors. So I'm not sure if they were trying to throw people off and keep that secret. Why you'd want to keep that secret, I don't know. Because it's not that they made a big deal of the fact that it's the Iron Patriot suit, but
yeah, I just want to see Norman Osborn do the whole Iron Patriot thing. I also think it would be funny. Like, I think Don Cheadle and like the humor that he's really good at, I would enjoy seeing either later down the road in Armor Wars or in whatever story involves a potential Norman Osborn taking up the mantle of Iron Patriot, where where you get to see Rhodey like, hey, no, I did that. That was mine. Knock it off. Everybody made fun of me for it. You don't get to have fun with this now. Tony's rolling in his grave.
You might have sold me on that, actually, just purely for Cheadle.
Just for Cheadle. But granted, I'm not super confident that we'll get that. I'm not going to hold my breath for it.
But because I honestly think that they're going to do Madam Hydra, quote, just because it's easier to say, as the Dark Avengers lead. I really think that's the direction they're taking that with. Because I don't see the point in merging the Dark Avengers and the Thunderbolts like people have said. So no, why? They're two vastly different teams with two vastly different purposes. Why would you merge them and waste two storylines to get one?
I agree with you on that. I just...
Also, with there's so much there. You got a quote evil Cap, which I don't think he's going to be. I think they're going to play a lot more with Walker down the line because they've obviously made him US agent now. Which, goddamn, that suit looks great. Looks so much better than his Captain America one.
It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
I would have liked more red, like bigger gloves. But
yeah.
I understand why they went with just red, like just the small red gloves, not like the gauntlet red gloves. I get that, but it's just like, it's a lot of black. Also, you should have kept the star white. Even though he's got a black star in the comics, it's like, yeah, you kind of lose it a little bit. But that's
I agree with you on that. It gives it more like texturing when you have that extra spot of color. Yeah. Oh, I'm just so happy with how they did Walker. Like, he's just such a perfectly hateable villain, and he's not a villain here necessarily, but he's definitely not a protagonist. And
no, he's very much an antagonist.
And I like the way I like the discourse around him, and I think Travis brought this up on last week's Nerd Academy as well. That it would have been very easy to do him as a straight up Captain MAGA.
Yeah, and that's what I was expecting, to be honest.
For it to be that much more subtle, like, the way that John Walker embodies the white supremacist underpinnings of the American military industrial complex. That, like, it's not an outright, oh, hey, I'm going to say a racial slur now. It's like...
even though he's got the face, like obviously no digging at Wyatt Russell. He's a fantastic actor. I mean, he actually nailed this role, and I'm glad he's going to hang around. But like him in that cap suit, it's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for you to say it. Like he's there with Lamar. It's like you haven't got the free pass, mate. But you can see it bubbling under the surface. Even though they didn't take him in that direction, which thank God, they actually made him a lot more interesting and more complicated than that. But it's just like, I can see it. You can see it.
Well, I really like the way that, you know, there's a couched level of racism in how he addresses the Dora Milaje. Like there's that, you know, let's put down the pointy sticks.
Yeah.
That's coded language.
Yeah.
Like that like we know what you mean by pointy sticks, John.
Yeah.
Like that like you're being attacked by this group of Africans with pointy sticks. That has an implication to it that is meant to make them sound like savages. Yeah, and it's like, you know, he didn't say a slur. You know,
no, it's that subtle racism
word, but like he's still using very racially coded language while speaking to and about the Dora. And it's stuff like that.
It's the type of racism that people don't realize is racism.
Precisely.
And it's the ones that people get angry about. So, how is that racist? I mean, just think about it for a split second. Right? Like that, the whole pointy sticks example is probably one of the more on the nose ones, but it's in that same vein as you don't realize you're doing it. But no, they made him an actual nuanced character in this. I found, yeah, they actually had a really good arc. I said it on here with Sean. As like, I don't sympathize with this guy in the slightest. But I think they did a really good job in the last 2 episodes where it's kind of like, I kind of sympathize. I get it. I get the whole struggle and the crumbling under that struggle. He didn't, you know, a lot of it was misguided. I don't think he's inherently a bad person. But he's very much
I think that's the tragedy of John Walker is that he's not an inherently bad person. He's no Red Skull. He's no Thanos. But no,
he's unfortunately what happens when the perfect soldier has the serum. You know, we've seen what happens when someone like Red Skull takes it. You know, bad becomes worse, good becomes great. Obviously, that being Steve. Or what happens when the middle ground takes it, and that is John Walker.
I mean, there's that. You know, there's like the actual like the text of like the very literal, you know, perfect soldier, like you just said. There's also again that, you know, not every person who is, you know, not to use a term that is kind of that has zero meaning anymore, but problematic in their behavior and beliefs, that like they don't have to be saying like they don't have to talk like they're in the Klan to have really deep and profound biases.
Yeah.
And it's that element of him that I love so much. That like, oh, well, you can't say that he's racist because, well, he went ape. Forgot you guys try to keep me from not swearing. Almost cussed again. But he goes berserk whenever his black friend gets killed. So, oh, well, therefore John Walker can't be a white supremacist. It's like, you can't not be.
No, is that something you're saying? I can't be racist. I have a black friend. Like, that doesn't fly.
Yeah, like he's again. It's like, okay, well then, but pointy sticks still happen.
Yeah,
you know, and it's a very this show does an impressive amount of approaching the racial element here with John Walker very, 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 very in a nuanced way and very impressively. And I really respect the show for the way it handled it. You know, I went in expecting, after the first couple episodes, I was a little concerned about this being like military propaganda. Like, and any Marvel movie has some of it because you have to, because that's how you get the money and sets and uniforms. And
See, I always find that argument interesting because I get why people think that, and I absolutely understand the argument. I don't think they've ever outright portrayed the military in a great light.
Well,
they've never just outright gone military bad, but it's always there's even just looking at Iron Man, it's like, yeah, the military and the whole world surrounding that, not great.
Not great. But there's also the way that like to use any of that equipment and stuff, the U.S. military gets to have approvals. So the fact that Rhodey is never portrayed as wrong for any of his he's like Rhodey's like the good apple with the military stuff. And
in fairness, that's just Rhodey.
That is just Rhodey, but it's also convenient for like how it kind of plays.
It's very convenient, but Don Cheadle.
Yeah, it's Don Cheadle. I really like Don Cheadle. I think even Terrence Howard likes Don Cheadle. But I was really kind of getting nervous there, especially with that one line that Sam had at the beginning where they were talking about the Flag Smashers for the first time, and there was that one-off comment about like every time something gets better for one group of people, it gets worse for another, and I was like, that's very equal rights means less rights for you. And that coming out of Sam friggin' Wilson.
Yeah, no, I get it, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this right now. And like the more it went on, I was like, okay, we're good. I got really kind of weirded out by what the politics of the show felt like it was going.
As I say, I think that's the stark contrast between Steve and Sam. Like Sam, they very much stand for everyone, and they're supposed to stand for everyone. But I think Sam's obviously got a different situation to Steve, whereas Steve can kind of pick a side. Obviously, not like left or right in politics, but Sam has to very much be like, no, I have to be here, and kind of play it in the middle. And I think that's why he might have got a bit of that at the beginning, even though it kind of ends with him not being in that state at all, even though he still kind of is. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But...
No, I know that makes sense. And again, I like the way. And again, that's probably one of my favorite parts. Even though they killed off Carly, I like the fact that like he just looks those senators in the eye and goes, "Why do you think this happened?"
Honestly, one of my favorite things I've ever done. Those 2 minutes and that one speech is probably it's got to be top 5 moments they've ever done, easily.
Like, the anti-SJW crowd, the wackadoos and the fandom menace, that whole horde of Looney Tunes, they can do their MCU goes woke, whatever, for this like really middle of the road monologue that Sam has. But like he's saying what needs to be said in these kinds of stories. Where it's like, why do you think the bad guy air quotes, is doing this?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That like, there's an indictment there. There's a want to have like a real conversation about what went wrong, when, and why.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy that. And again, it's one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to what we get from Sam moving forward.
See, I'd love to know what that movie's going to be. Like, do we finally get the Serpent? I can't even say it. The Serpent Society. Do we go that route?
Mad Lads.
Like, what other route can we go for a Captain America 4?
It just makes me happy that we're finally breaking the trilogy rule.
I mean, Thor did that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Thor's finally doing it. Avengers has a 4th one, but like, kind of expect it to. Like, I'm just glad I'm going to be honest, because all of my biases lead back to how can we work Spider-Man into this story?
He's going to be around for a long time.
I am so happy.
I think the only way he leaves is if Tom Holland gets bored.
I don't think he will. I don't think there's enough.
Or something
in the world.
Something like Grievous happens, and he's just like, "Oh, Tom can't do this anymore." But, knock on wood, won't. But
no. Between that, and the fact that they're going to pull that trigger on Miles eventually.
Oh yeah. I'm just sitting here as a lonely Iron Man fan, wondering where the fourth movie went.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. It's unfortunate.
And I get
what we're not gonna do. You know what we're not gonna do? We're not gonna pay for a billboard.
No,
that's what we're not gonna do.
No, I'm not. I care about it. I'm not gonna have that revolve around my life and that every bit of money I make go to that campaign. No. I'm getting an Armor Wars show, which I never thought I'd ever do. Armor Wars. I'm getting Ironheart. Great. If Armor Wars ends up taking the route that Captain America did, and they're like, oh yeah, Iron Man will return. They do the whole Rhodey's Iron Man bit. Fantastic. Thank you. Do that. I doubt it will. Though part of me is like, why not just have a mystery Iron Man flying about and then later revealed to be Rhodey? You can do it. But I don't think they will, but you can do it. Yeah.
I'm very curious as to what they do with Armor Wars as well. Because it could very much be like we're just going to use this name because it sounds cool.
If it's not Justin Hammer and Ezekiel Stane, then I don't want it. I'll watch it and I'll adore the hell out of it. But if it hasn't got those two in it, I don't want it.
Listen, for you, for me, for Spencer of TNAP, for Nando V Movies, for all of us, we all deserve Justin Hammer.
100%. He needs to retake the dancing crown. Because Zemo came in here and in a second, Justin Hammer had to dance for about a good 20 to even be remembered. But Zemo came here with a low European fist pump and snatched that crown straight from Justin Hammer's Running Man.
I want that, like, how dare you stand there where he stood meme. But it's Nando V Movie screaming Zemo.
I've watched that one now, Zemo dancing movie, way too much. And I have no regrets about it whatsoever. It is glorious. Absolutely glorious. The fact that it was improv, Daniel Brew, genius.
German Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
Which is just hilarious to me. I don't know why. I was going to say,
if Kachow's not part of the Winter Soldier code words, then I don't want to know. Just throw Kachow in the middle of it, and come on now.
Oh my god.
Got to be done. And it fits perfectly. If you say it like Zemo says it in Civil War, Kachow fits really well in
there. Oh my god. I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about that. I'm going to be at work tonight and just start giggling behind my mask. Like, what are you laughing at? Just
if you think of him doing the movement as well as he said it and then goes back to normal, saying the rest of it makes it even better. Just a slight break of character to go back in is fantastic, and I kind of want Daniel Brühl to come out and do it. If he just comes out in his Thunderbolts and just completely recreate how his intro scene was in this show, where he says the code words. Just do that, and then he just goes ka-chow out the shadows.
Listen, now that conventions feel like they're going to be a thing again, just do what they were doing to Sebastian Stan, right? Where he was doing Comic-Con appearances and people kept longing, daybreak, and they just started saying them and the whole audience would start giggling at him. Just somebody just ask him to do it. Just give him the book, give him the lines, and just say now at any point here, can you please slip in a kitchen?
Please, I absolutely need this. I don't know how I can go on living without it personally. But...
Helmet McQueen, Lightning Von Ziem.
I think you nailed it in the first one personally. Lightning McQueen. No, not Lightning. God damn it! What was it? What was the first one?
Helmet McQueen.
That's the one, Helmet McQueen. Yeah, man, perfect, absolutely perfect. But yeah, I'm with WandaVision in this. I'm kind of taking these shows not so much for the central plot. I think the plot's very much going to come secondary in these things, and for better or for worse. So I don't know which side it can be. You can go either way, but they're very much more character focused, and I think, or at least these two are anyway. I think the whole pandemic they decided right, we obviously they have a plot to them. It can go either way. Like both shows kind of fumbled it to an extent, but the character work they do in this is fantastic, and it's probably some of my favorite things they've ever done. And it's like I'm interested to see if Loki has that as well, because Loki, I think a lot of people forget Loki was filming around the same time as well. It started like what 2-3 months afterwards.
Yeah, so
I think it started in February. So it'd be interesting to see if that suffers the same fate, not the same fate, or the same problems, because it's not a problem with the show itself. It's just a situational thing. Like if that's going to have the same things as these two did. And I'm fully expecting things like Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and everything else going forward to not have any of that.
I don't know what to expect from the rest of these shows, but I'm so excited for them. Like, I was having a conversation with some of the Teen App people, and I was saying that the MCU feels more like a comic book than it ever has, because now we are dealing with a universe that is very much rooted in stuff that is not the status quo. And it feels more like a comic book because of it. Like, Steve Rogers isn't Captain America. Iron Man is dead. Thor isn't on Earth. Black Widow is gone. Like, Spider-Man is a wanted fugitive. Like, it has that feeling of, like, whenever...
it's very much... It's in that... If you go back in comics before, back to when they didn't do an event every other year, like, it feels like that post-event thing. But even with events, there was always that feeling of it's gonna go back. Like it's comics, that nothing changes. Like maybe some things will stay, maybe some things will go. But I think with this, I think where we are now with it, everything post Endgame, and clearly this thing has just thrown everything up in the air. You know, everything God threw a stone at everything. Everyone got settled. God threw a stone at it. To paraphrase the best villain that they did dirty. But I think it's going to get to a point where it's not going to feel like a comic book anymore, because it's going to be different. Because it's just by their nature of the whole medium, it's got to be different. Whereas comics are timeless, they can always just go back and reset because there's always going to be different people making them. Like you're drawing a character, that character is never going to age. Whereas here, they are, and they have to, and you have to use that in the story.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is it like we've gone from like it feeling like a comic book in two different ways. Like by the point of Phase 3 and Infinity War and Endgame, it felt like an event that was happening while the status quo was intact. Tony Stark as Iron Man, Steve Rogers as Captain America, and like even then, like it still was like, you know, it had like a secret Avengers thing going on because half of the Avengers had to be underground. But like it was still all the original people with their original monikers. And like by the time Endgame happens, like it just felt so comic booky. And now, like you were saying, it's that post-event, like everything's scattered to the wind because all hell broke loose in whatever event story. So I think it'll just continue to feel like a comic book, just in different ways.
It feels like Phase 1 again. No, it feels like Iron Man 1, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America. Though I think to say it feels like Phase 1's a bit of an injustice to it, but it's the closest thing you have. It's that element of unknown to it. Like we don't know exactly where everything's headed now. Whereas for the last few years, we have, since 2013, we've known where everything was going. We don't know that, and we haven't known that for 2 years now.
I think one of the other fun things about like the Phase 1 nature of it is when Phase 1 was going on, like, oh, good God, I was still in elementary school during Phase 1. Like,
I won't say where I was. for myself and everyone else, I'm not gonna say.
But like, you know, I got to exactly the right age around Thor and Captain America that like I was able to start researching where all of these stories came from, and was able to come to understand like subtle little things. I was like, oh, this is hinting at this. This is hinting at that. We're hurtling towards the assembly of the Avengers, and it was just, it was, there was just something so fun about like we're watching the origin stories happen. And
yeah. Because that's what these two shows have been, essentially. Like, obviously, it's very much an origin story in the vein of Black Panther, isn't it? Like, we know the character prior, but now they're at this point now. Like, they have taken up the mantle. They've had their origin done.
Yeah,
it's an interesting way of doing it.
It's just so interesting because we're back to that again, where it's like every little nugget feels like a hint. Like before, like there would be fun little Easter eggs that like most people would blow off because it's like, well, we know we're hurtling towards Thanos in an Infinity Gauntlet story. We're here like now. It's like, okay, Elaine is here, and okay, here are all the 18 different things that she has done. And I'm just going to say Elaine because I can't say the full name because I'm not as cool as you guys.
I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm going to be doing it again right now. I'm absolutely reading off a screen about her full name because I have no idea what it is. It's just like, yeah, I can't say the entire sentence that is her name.
Yeah.
Even though it's La Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine.
That she's held so many titles.
She has, and
she's like she's been Madam Hydra. She's been a part. She's the inciting incident of Secret Invasion. Like, which one is it? You know, here's all these dots. Here's all the dots on the map in Iron Man 2. Here's one in Africa. Here's one in the middle of the ocean. Wonder if that's going to matter later. Like, it's that kind of stuff that makes me so happy. That like we're back to the discovery stage of so much.
See, I want to talk about her a bit more because she for a character that hasn't really done a lot in the comics. She was kind of like she appeared, she fizzled out. She hasn't really been since. She was a lot of things. No, she was the head of Leviathan. She was involved with Hydra, and we've heard talks of Hydra coming back. So does that mean the Shield is going to come back? So we have a sword and the Shield. Do we have Hydra? Do we have Leviathan? Do we have both? She was Madam Hydra, but she also led Leviathan. She was, partners with Nick Fury. She's been so many things in such a short amount of time. Also a Russian sleeper agent. So, and obviously, was it Vanity Fair or Variety that said she was supposed to be, her first appearance was supposed to be Black Widow, but because of that whole thing, it ended up being this.
I think it was Vanity Fair.
I was going to say I was leaning more towards Vanity Fair, but it's at this point Vanity Fair, Variety, it's interchangeable. So it's like, what exactly is her end goal and where is she headed? Because there's so many directions they can take her, and I think just going, oh yeah, she's going to be an evil Nick Fury, quote evil quotes, because I don't feel like they're going to go that route. But if she's going to be like a Hydra woman, then kind of is going to be evil, but we'll see.
I don't know. I like the idea of her being like the dark side Nick Fury. I really do like that idea, and I like the idea that she's going to eat a bullet and it's going to turn green. And like I really, really want this to. I want everything to like come to a head.
Because if you look at the mid 2000s Marvel, like the Civil War era, the Dark Reign, the Young Avengers, and all that, a lot of the pieces they're picking up are from that. Like you can easily see how they're gonna like. We have no Avengers currently. Avengers aren't a thing. Like individually they exist, as a group they're not. And that's exactly where the Young Avengers came in. We have Kang coming in a second. There's that, exciting instant for Secret Invasion. She's right here. It's just like, they're setting up a lot of pieces here that they have to be doing that. Still, they're still staying in that era of Marvel. So do we get a Dark Reign?
I hope we do. I hope we get a Dark Reign. I hope we get Siege.
So do they go absolutely bonkers balls to the wall and do a Fear Itself? Because that's one of the forgotten eras, I find. No one really talks about Fear Itself. And honestly, I can't remember half of it, but I just remember the look of it. And it's like, it's right there. And if we're staying in this bit, like, granted, Infinity War obviously happened way before all that, but different timelines, different universes, different creative opportunities. This is what we got. Is that the next big thing, like a Fear Itself?
That would be interesting. I really do hope that we start doing stories like that, though. Like,
because there's so much from the or at least the 2000s Marvel. There's so much you can take from.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And arguably probably one of the best eras of Marvel, even though Civil War was kind of whack. I know people are gonna hate that, but Civil War was bad. It was really bad. But that's neither here nor there.
That's an opinion I disagree with you on, even though we're on the same team.
Yeah. It did start dirty, and I can't forgive Mark Millar for that. It did a lot of people dirty, in fairness, but my inner 5-year-old cannot forgive Mark Millar for doing Stark that day.
It's all right. My first exposure to the Civil War storyline was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. And then went back and read the comic once I was like capable of acquiring comics. But
it was definitely an event that came out. I'll say that.
God, every time Levi was making fun of me the other night because he was like he's like, you can't have a conversation without bringing up one of your hot takes. And I was like, that's not true.
I know the feeling. I
was like, Levi, that is not true. He's like, it is. And he's like, and it's not a bad thing. He's like, and you don't do it intentionally. But anytime anytime a conversation about like anything media related comes up, you can't not say the most controversial thing in the room. You can't do it. You can't just say a middle of the road opinion and walk away. That said, Civil War might be my favorite Marvel event.
I wouldn't class that as a hot take, to be honest. I think that's a lot of people's experiences with that thing. People adored that. It was so... It's not unique, because obviously Heroes have been fighting decades before that. We obviously had The Dark Knight Returns. But nothing was ever done like Civil War before.
Yeah, I just really like it a lot. And I see a lot of people like not take their Civil War slander as far as you did. But like
I can trash on that book all the live long day, but
but they do it in half steps. So like I haven't seen anybody else ever also be like, yes, Civil War. Speaking of which, what do you think the odds are they ever attempt to do a Civil War 2 in the MCU? Because I also did not mind that story either.
At the time I adored it. Look, the further removed I get from it, the more I'm like, I was smoking something at that point. I had to have been. Someone was slipping me something and making me enjoy that. But because again, Bendis in that he does a Millard. Characters are out of character, which you could argue characters have to be out of character sometime for the sake of the story. And no one's perfect. People act out of character every day of their lives. But yeah, I can see them trying to do Civil War 2 at some point. I don't think you do it exactly like Civil War 2 did, because I think that's incredibly dumb. I don't think you end with any human being like, oh, I'm so powerful now, bye. I'm just going to become part of the cosmic hierarchy of all these universal concepts. I don't think you're going to get that. And I don't think anyone wants that because, but yeah, I think at this point, jettisoning a story and just outright going, no, we're not going to do that is you limit yourself in what you can and can't tell. Also, if you're going to have a new Avengers, I think having a Civil War is probably maybe not make it like a movie focus and do that. Maybe take an element of it, kind of like how Age of Ultron had the Stark and Steve fallout at the farm. Like you maybe hint to something like that, but I don't think you outright you dedicate an entire movie to it. Because I would like to see, this new Trinity going forward. So we've got what? Sam, I assume Jane is going to be the new Thor going forward. And
I don't know. I don't think that they're going to do a permanent handoff with the hammer. I think that there's going to be I think that there will be kind of like it was in the comics for a minute where like Jane might have the Thor mantle, but like I don't think.
I mean, it's no different to Sam. Sam didn't have that mantle forever.
No, I know. I don't. How do I want to put it?
I don't think she's gonna have Mjolnir forever. I think they're gonna maybe not even give her Mjolnir. I think they might just do something with the Jane Foster Valkyrie run, where she has that all weapon or whatever it's called.
I'm trying to think of a way to put this. Jane Foster might become like the new Thunder God, to put it that way. But I think that if/when a Thor 5 were to happen, it would be marketed around Chris Hemsworth.
I mean, I to be honest, I think you could just have them both in there.
I would like to have them have both in there. I hope that's the case. I'm just saying I think that it would still be a Chris Hemsworth-led story, because I don't know how much you can get Natalie Portman to commit to this kind of role. It didn't seem like she.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. If just getting her back is the biggest hurdle, just keep dumping money at her and she'll do it.
I hope you're right. Because when they announced it, I was like, "Oh, this will be a fun gimmick for a movie."
I think I don't know. I think Sam's convinced me that she's going to be sticking around for a while.
I hope she is.
I think you're going to get at least an Avengers movie. Obviously, Jane's in a very different spot to Sam. Sam can stay on indefinitely or until Mackie is tired of the role. Jane has a timer with the whole cancer story. If they do the cancer storyline, which I think you kind of have to, is integral to that plot. With that, you automatically put that character on a timer. So
yeah,
I think to even just do that story justice and do that version of that character justice, you need to have her around for at least an Avengers movie, whenever that may be. And part of me is really thinking that they want an Avengers team that feels similar but looks completely different.
Yeah.
So maybe Rhodey does take up the Iron Man thing, just so you can have the imagery of Cap, Thor, and Iron Man.
I like that idea. I'd rather it be Riri though. I'd rather it just be like Ironheart.
I think Riri's too young.
Titled.
I think Riri's too young for that. If you got a Young Avengers, and if you're going to merge Champions and Young Avengers, absolutely put her on that. I think.
Yeah, I hope they merge the Champions and Young Avengers. I like that idea a lot.
Because speaking of Young Avengers, actually, I know we've been going for an hour and a half at this point, but the Bradleys, we haven't touched on the Bradleys once, and I feel like not even talking about them would be doing a disservice to those characters.
You're absolutely right. The museum scene made me weep.
Yeah. I'd say I cried 3 times in this finale. I will not be afraid to admit. I cried instantly. The second this show started and he throws that shield through that window, I was done. And then the whole in fact, every Bradley scene in this show has got me. And it's just like my tear ducts are overactive. I'm not afraid to admit it. But
no, the gentleman who plays Isaiah Bradley absolutely acts his ass off.
Yeah. Like just that whole ending scene with him shaking, that was enough. He didn't say a damn word, you could see it.
No.
And I know people aren't particularly, or there's some people that aren't particularly happy with his reaction to what Sam done. It's going, that wouldn't be what he'd do. It's like, I kind of understand it, but again, this is not that Bradley. Like, creative liberties, adaptations, just because he was, feeling something for the fact that Sam did this thing doesn't mean he's, ridiculously over the moon and all's forgiven sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I like the idea that, I think an argument can be made that it's more Isaiah reacting to the sentiment than like what it is.
Yeah.
And,
it's a complicated, it's a very complicated.
It is a very complicated conversation because it's also like, you got to like, there comes a point where you're projecting like an ideology and a set of characteristics to, characters who, change depending who has a pen in their hand.
Yeah.
So, that's, it's the reason why it's so hard to talk about Spider-Man, that like he's been around for so long and everybody has a different favorite run that he's so impossible to talk about.
That's why I don't talk about Spider-Man.
You're smarter than I am. And, I think the same kind of thing's kind of happening here.
Yeah.
I agree. Is it two black men looking at each other saying we're reclaiming history for us? We are making sure that what we did for this country gets repaid, gets acknowledged? Or is it like, this isn't how he'd react, da-da-da-da-da. And again, I think there's legitimacy to both sides of that argument.
As I say, it can be both at the same time.
And it can be both, exactly.
It can absolutely be an out-of-character moment because, we don't know this character that well, or this version of him. I'm hoping and praying we get some kind of, like, truth adaptation. I want to say it's Truth, Red, White, and Black. I can never remember the name of that run, but I think that's the full title of it. But I'm hoping we get, like, just do like a 3, 4, or even do a 6, suddenly go all out. Do the full 6-issue, like, episode miniseries, and just give us a prequel for Bradley. Or even, like, you're telling Eli's story, because Eli's clearly going to become Patriot at this point. Like, he's on the Young Avengers anyway. Just the way things went in this is very much like a watch out for that kid. That kid's coming back.
I hope so, because that's another suit that I hope just gets copy paste.
Oh, which one though? Because he has 2. Did you want the mask or did you want the domino?
Probably the domino, because that's the one I'm familiar with from Ultimate Alliance 2. That's when I first experienced Patriot.
I say, because in Young Avengers Volume 1, he just has the full head covering. You can't see a damn thing.
I like both.
I think he has the domino on it as well. I think the eyes are like the domino goes around the eyes on the mask, but it's just like kind of really like the full mask just to kind of hide the fact. But I'm not sure if that character's in that same spot to hide the fact that he's a black man. Because obviously we've got Sam now. It'd be kind of weird him hiding the fact that he's running with the Stars and the Stripes as a black man when Sam's flying out here doing that. So they could go by the
yeah, they both look equally cool, and I'm sure they'll find a way to like have him wear the full mask at some point.
Yeah. I just hope it's soon, like sooner rather than later. Don't leave. I know we still got some Young Avengers to bring in, and Kate's going to be in a completely different spot when that happens because she's starting off with Hawkeye, and that don't happen. But we'll see how it goes. I just hope we see more of at least those two sooner rather than later. But
I agree completely.
But right, I think an hour and a half is going to be long enough for this. So once again, thank you very much for coming on here at the last minute. Next time I will try to do it within 30 minutes of me starting recording.
Hey, listen, I love the speed runs. I love the how quickly. And now you guys don't do a video show, so I don't have to like pretend that I just dress the way I do on camera normally, and that it isn't ill-fitting t-shirts and sweatpants all the time. So that's the fun part is like I'll get like the hey, can you be on? And it's a video show, and I'm like, yeah, sure, brushing my hair like a madman trying to find a colorful button down. Oh god. So here I mean, I am fully dressed, but like I wouldn't have to be.
Was that said with a wink? I can't tell. It's like I am fully dressed. I swear. I promise. YouTube can't demonetize what YouTube can't see. Wink, wink, wink,
listen,
wink,
wink. There was one time that I was like doing audio in my boxers, and I felt disgusting. I hated every second of it because I was like, oh hell, this is back like the old show and the old network I was a part of, where I like rolled out of bed, looked at the time, and went, oh no, we're about to record in like 5 minutes. I need to pretend that I was getting ready. So like hopped into the Discord and was just like, sitting there like that. And the entire time I was like, nope. We record fully dressed from now on. Nuh-uh. Never again. I was
going to say, it's not for everyone. Not that I do. I am a decent human being and I'm fully clothed. It's also really cold, so there's no way where I'd be like anything other.
Oh, yeah, well, that'll do it. Weather keeps you honest.
Don't it just. But yeah, so tell the people where they can find you and all that jazz. Plug away. Plug away.
Thank you very much. You guys can find me and all my amazing friends over at the Nerd Academy podcast. We're wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube. We do have a video version of all of our shows on our YouTube channel. We cover all kinds of nerd stuff. Our main show, the Nerd Academy podcast, covers comic book movie news, stuff of the like. Knights of the Nerd Republic, our Star Wars show, uploads on Sundays. It's our Star Wars show. We have 2 bi-weekly podcasts, one called Campus Life, where it's just us riffing and talking about our weeks and all manner of hijinks therein. We have our other bi-weekly show, Nerd Academy Movie Club. We take a different theme for the month and do different movies within it. April was So Bad It's Good month. So we did The Room, Battlefield Earth, and Cat in the Hat. And for May the 4th, we are doing the original Star Wars trilogy. So, and our other show, we have the Number One Contender podcast, where Travis and I do weekly recaps for the movie trivia Schmodown. So, yeah. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, the Nerd Academy podcast.
Excellent. And do go actually legitimately check them out, because they are, they do good stuff. Good bunch of people. They're fun.
We try.
I appreciate them. They're fun. They give me the chuckles. Yeah, so that's going to bring us an end.
Give him the chuckles. What he means is my friend's viciously bullying me in front of a hot microphone.
I mean, funny's funny.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
If it ain't me getting bullied, it's hilarious. And that's not exactly true. That's a horrific thing to say, but it's kind of funny. So yeah, on that note, don't bully people. Sam Wilson would absolutely hate you for it. And you don't want to upset that suit, because that suit is fantastic, even though there's something slightly off about it. Maybe it's the ears, even though I think you nailed it earlier. It's absolutely, the colors are really bright. Not a bad thing. It just looks different. And goodbye.
Goodbye.